I don't know if anyone else sees this, but I kind of see the Mad Hatter in this, like with the trees and then the hat. And then over there, right, you see those signs? Doesn't it look like a key? It looks like a key. So I have this theory that every time I see a stop sign, like, a stop sign isn't actually a stop sign. Like, a stop sign is a sign to trust the universe, because for me personally, it's like stop and put spirit on top. Maybe I should make a song about it. But it's like a, how do you surrender? Like, I guess people ask, and I think this is a question that I had a lot as well, like, how do you surrender? How do you yield to the universe? And I think, like, driving really explains it, because when you just, like, let other things go in front of you, right, like the energy or the idea, you let it go in front of you, then, like, that's kind of yielding to the universe. And then, like, whatever stays, like, when your moment comes, you'll feel it, right? Like, when you take a turn, when your moment comes, you kind of feel it, like, oh, this is when I should go. So that's what I think about stop signs. Like, I guess the question is, if you feel unsure when you're driving, why would you take the turn? You know, like, imagine you took the turn when you were driving and, like, you just turn and you're like, oh, I'm unsure about this, I'm not really sure, and then you just turn, like, you probably crash. Like, that's like the prime example of intuitive based decision making, I guess, for me at least. I don't know, like, I think methinks that's the best way to make a decision. But I think, like, even then, like, I get really, like, muddled up with, like, what the right decision to make is, because let's say you're in a rush to get somewhere, then you just want to take the turn. Like, you don't really care whether the turn you're taking is valid or not. But I like to imagine the road in front of me. Like, if the road feels soft and, like, still exciting, yet comfortable, yet, like, invigorating and inviting, like, I would take the turn, you know? But if the turn feels like a dilemma, then I would just bypass that shit. When you take turns, like, for example, you do something even though it has no actual value on your life, like, I think it always comes back and, like, benefits me in the most beautiful way. Like, I always feel really, like, cool, like, oh yeah, I did that, but also, like, it's something that I can root myself into. I've been having this thing where it's like, I don't know where, I don't know if other people feel this as well, but it's like, I don't know where to root myself. So, like, for example, like, this is an example. I think I've kind of healed this now, but before, I had this thing where, like, I would associate certain feelings of happiness or joy or sadness, or, like, I would associate with something, like, something would bring me that feeling, rather than, like, it's like my own internal experience, right? And, like, obviously, like, I knew that, you know, it's not like a like a profound thing to, like, think that, but, like, when I realized that it was just, like, attached to my, like, own thing, and then it's like, okay, like, I can just detach the emotion from that person rather than, like, having that association there. So it's like, yeah, I'm feeling that way, but it's like, hey, but I've been having this thing where, like, I didn't know what emotions were mine and what emotions were the cause of something else. And it's been, like, a real funk for me, because I I want to believe, I guess, that some emotions belong to a situation or something outside of myself, but obviously I know that if I'm feeling them, they're probably real inside me, and therefore they only they're only validated within me. Like, I guess I could project that energy outwards, and I guess someone else could pick up on it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was always there. And so, like, I had this thing, because I went thrift shopping recently, and I got my hair cut, okay? So, like, I look like a boy, and, or, like, whatever, you know? And, my mom, she always called me, like, her son when I was growing up, so I was like, I don't know, the thrift store lady was, like, commenting about how skinny my face was. And so I was telling her, like, oh yeah, my mom said this when I was younger, and she's like, oh, do you feel like a boy? And I was like, no, but I like, I've been really feeling myself as, like, okay, like, I know I'm two-spirit vibes. Like, I don't want to claim, well, actually, I was trying to ask the Native American ancestors if it was acceptable for me to claim two-spirit as my gender. And, I know I need to do more research into it, but I think I got, like, an okay, like, a yes, because I didn't feel, like, any, like, resistance or anger or hatred, like I would feel normally if I was talking to the universe, and, like, I wasn't supposed to do something. Then I would feel, like, this feeling of, like, like emasculation almost, but it was so fascinating to me, because I realized, like, when she asked me that, I was like, oh, like, when are the feelings that I do feel like a girl or feel like a boy, and, like, what is the deciding factors between the two of them? And I realized, like, I always feel very, and this is, like, a thing, because, like, obviously I am a creative person. Like, I really enjoy creation. I like being, like, I like the vibe of being, like, 3 months pregnant. Like, I know that's so random, but it's, like, this vibe of, like, you know, in that feeling when, like, you have, like, a early pregnancy baby belly. Like, I am obsessed with that aesthetic. Like, it's just so, like, it's so early baby vibes. Like, I don't know what it is, but, like, I don't want it to grow, and I don't want the kid to, like, I have this thing where, like, I don't want the kid to grow beyond, like, 3 years old. Like, I don't want to have a kid if it's gonna grow beyond 3 years old. Anyways, so yeah, you get where I'm coming from. Like, so I just want the aesthetic of it. So I have that vibe where it's, like, I'm obsessed with pregnancy. Like, I'm obsessed with, like, creation, because I think it's just so freaking cool. Like, it's so weird. Like, why does that exist? Like, why, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense that would exist. But then at the same time, I always felt really masculine in the presence of certain people. And I don't know if there was, like, this projection of masculinity onto me, like, and close friends, right? And, like, or if it was just, like, if it was, I was actually masculine, like, I don't know. But the thing is, like, I realized, like, that would never, like, I never, even though I gravitated towards more masculine traits, like taking action and sports, like, I never really considered myself aesthetically, like, body wise, to be more masculine, but I was portrayed by certain people as more masculine. And, like, this made me realize, like, I get into my masculine energy when I feel, like, deeply uncomfortable, and I don't realize that I'm feeling deeply uncomfortable. And that's something that, like, I've been realizing that I get that a lot. Like, does anyone else feel this, where, like, it's like you don't realize you're uncomfortable until, like, some random shit happens, and you're like, wait, am I feeling this because, like, I hate this. Am I feeling this because I am actually like this, and this is what I think, this is who I am? Or am I feeling this because this is a cause due to my, like heightened sensitivity of, like, other people's perception of me, especially when it comes to gender? And especially, like, you know, when you're working through something in your mind, and you're like, this is, like, important to me, so you notice it at every turn. So I don't know, like, I'm enjoying my non-binary energy, but at the same time, it's like I have this thing where it's like I have to prove still that I am still feminine, or that I can be young, or, like, playful, or childlike. But it's like I have to, it's, I don't know, it's like or else I feel it's like the consequence of that is being masculine. And I don't know if this is a trait of the patriarchy of like masculinity is like a dreadful thing, or like the enemy, right? Like to be masculine is especially a woman being more masculine is so like is associated with negativity and being the enemy. And I personally have had enough experience with men of all ages on a very like intimate level, which sounds off, but I mean it is kind of off, like, you know what I'm saying? So, but not like sexual, like just like intimate, conversation wise and just situation, you know. So, well, yeah, some of them have been like more sexual, but not like penetrative sex, you know what I'm saying? So like I still was able to maintain the decorum of a lady's like what is it called, like, you know, when you still have something of value that nobody has taken from you, right? And it's still within the spaces of like power dynamic. And like when I was seeking out like being a dominatrix and wanting to pursue that more, like I had the opportunity to interact with men like that. And I mean there's no point in demonizing men anymore and masculinity, but then why is masculinity always demonized? I mean, is it women that demonize masculinity, and therefore like maybe we just don't understand it enough? And I say we like as if like, because I think I do kind of understand masculinity. I think it's very different. And I think also I have this perception, like I think women don't do enough for themselves, like, or for others. Like I know this is like really weird, but like I think like, because like for most of my like the people I surround myself with are very creative and they create for themselves. But like on TikTok and like when I see, you know, these like high value women and stuff like that, it's like it's, I don't know, I don't want to get into that, but it's different, right? It's weird and it's different, and it's like how, like, what is like the decorum of assessing and asserting like, oh, I prefer this in my life? And it's like, just because I want it to be real, does that make it real, like for me? And I don't know, I feel like I'm searching for truth, and I have some sort of truth, but as soon as I assess that truth, it becomes like something that is not a truth, and I feel like I know nothing, which I'm glad to know nothing. Just thank God, right? Like who would want the burden of knowing everything? Like, I don't know, but I feel like this has just got me down a freaking rabbit hole. But yeah, I don't know, that's what I've been thinking recently. And like I've also been realizing there's light even in the shadow, and there's shadow even in the light. Like, for example, when something is a shadow of something, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's darker than what is being reflected upon. Like even the shadow of something can be lighter in color than the actual item or object itself. I also had this dream that, well, it wasn't a dream, it was like an ongoing energy for at least a few months. And like I had like 3 babies during these 3 months. Like, I know that sounds random, but they like popped out. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I had 3 energetic babies, and I named them too. I don't know, but then there was this moment where like I had a realization, and then like they weren't my children technically, but they were birthed from me. So I had this entire grieving period of like, I don't know, it was like losing a child for like I don't know, it was just the longest, like it was so, it felt really real, you know, it felt really real, even though I technically am a virgin. So yeah.